What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
Yo, what's up, bros? My bad. I was telling Wes, I was in the gym.
No, it's my fault. Miscommunication.
I was in the gym and I'm sitting there just like lifting weights, just chilling. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a second, what? I was like, fuck. Literally just ran home. So here we are. And then I fucked up. I thought I was waiting for Wes, but he was ready. Bros, it's Friday.
No, it's my bad. Silly communication on my part.
Ain't no thing. It's Friday, bro. How was the week?
Dude, this week was legit, man. Ray would be proud of me. Ray, I still need to get the pink slip, dude. I'm sorry, bro. I just have not made any progress on. Hope you're enjoying the free car. This week was awesome. Like I danced this week. I did 3 full sessions of jiu-jitsu. The career's going fucking phenomenal, and I finished my first YouTube, or almost my second YouTube video for finance. I'm just at the tail end of editing it, and editing is such a bitch, dude. Holy hell. I'm like literally on 6 hours now of editing.
What are you using to edit?
Video. I am using a combination of Adobe Creative Cloud and Canva and Envato, yeah.
Yeah, editing's a pain in the ass, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hiring somebody at some point to do it. I mean, because it's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, but it's brutal, but I like it, right? Because it forces you to think through, okay, instead of just my face talking, how else can I convey this message so somebody gets it more or stays engaged for longer so I can teach them? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. No, yeah, it is fun. It's fun too to go through every single second of a thing and like do I need this? Do I need that? Like when I do the Psych Null videos, I'll talk for maybe like, an hour and a half, maybe 40 minutes. I end up deleting like 30 minutes, like half of it a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Or like 20%. It's just funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I've had a similar, well, not a similar week. I didn't get as much stuff done, but the thing that I did do, the Psych Null thing's been killing me because it's like the final thing for the meditation, the final part of the meditation thing. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, man, I took on a big one for the last one. I'm like, because I'm like sitting here as I'm writing, and I'm like, oh, this is like a really complex subject. And I'm like, fuck me, why did I do this?
So good, dude.
It is, man. I've been really loving that feeling of stumping, like just getting myself totally stumped on a thing and just being like, fuck, I have no idea. And then I'll I'm done for the day, come back, and it's like, boom, it's all there. And like, oh, I was just out of brain power yesterday. But I made the decision for the last video, I'm breaking it up into like 10-minute chunks. I'm not doing this hour-long shit anymore. Nobody wants to watch an hour video on this stuff. When I see an hour, I'm like, So I'm breaking the final one up into 10-minute chunks, and I'm going to chunk it out that way. So that also, this is a major revelation, not a revelation, but it was like, I'm like really, how do I say this? Trying to like ultra clarify my intentions of what I'm doing. Like, why am I doing this? Here's the answer. How do you do this? Here, like being very, very specific because it is a big subject. So yeah, so I'm excited. I'm pretty happy about that. So I made that call, and I'm like, it's an easier way to do this. And I was trying to cram too many ideas in at once, and it didn't make sense.
Yeah, awesome. And Kaizen, thanks for the recommendation, bro. I'll check Microsoft Screen Recorder and Adobe Premiere. So I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro. I think that's the same thing right now. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I also could say that I spent $5,000 on YouTube course as well. Again, just reiterating the message of like, I am willing, and I think all men should consider being willing to. It's like if you want something, put your resources into it, that sort of thing. So, but Matt, I mean, what do you think about like raw repetition? Like just getting that muscle memory in you of teaching content, right? Like teaching something that's in your head and then trying to convey it the best as possible to somebody else. And the frustrating thing is, you could do it better. but like there's some like it's like I don't know about you, but when I'm making these videos, it's like I can see how I can look at somebody else's videos and be like, yeah, I want to do that. Like that's how I would like to teach that. And then when you go to teach that, you're like, shit, how do I get the thing on the screen to move like that? Or how do I get this little pop-up to pop up? And then how do you be funny? Like being funny is so fucking hard. Like I watch some of these guys on YouTube and I find myself like giggling. And then when I look at myself, I'm like, that looks dumb. That looks real dumb.
Yeah, that's tough though, because when you look at yourself, everyone's hypercritical on themselves. I always forget the majority of people can't listen to their own voice. It's like I've gotten so desensitized to like seeing my face and listening to myself talk. At first I would be like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. And then you eventually just get over it and you're like, yeah, it's not that bad. But yeah, man, it is. It's like I think like you were saying, it's just a matter of just repetition, and you got to put stuff out there and just know that like, dude, when I did those first videos, they were so bad. When I started doing the psych novel video, I look back on them and go, oh God, those things suck. They're so fucking bad. But it's like I had to put those out because I didn't know. I put those out, rewatched them, and was like, got some feedback. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then you kind of slowly chisel away. So it's like, yeah, man, it really is. I'm convinced it's just repetition, dude. It's repetition and like getting the, like for writing this last one, dude. I've started and not like restarted it, but like, you know, before it'd be like, oh, rough draft it, I'll go through. Every day I write, and then when I first start to go through it, I go to the top of it. I have a Microsoft Word. The best thing for editing your own writing has a read out loud thing, so I can listen to it as I'm reading it, so I can catch things that my eyes might not catch. And dude, I've altered the introduction to this thing, I think 10 times. I just sit down, I that time nailed it, done. I wake up in the morning and read it again. I go, oh my God, this is horrible. And then I go through it again, and now there's a point where I go, yes, that's exactly how I needed to start this. And it took me 2 weeks of just drafting stuff over and over to like clarify what I wanted to do, and to like deliver it in a way where I go, yes, that makes sense, and that's easy to follow, and it's not like convoluted or like overly complicated.
What is your goal? You're working on a video now, right? That's not done to completion?
No, it's not done. It's a 3-part series. First 2 parts are done to completion. I wasn't thrilled with the second one. It wasn't bad. I was like, I could have. What I should have done is broke that up into smaller chunks. But yeah, so I'm working on the end of a 3-part series, and the end is like, I'm like looking at it now. I'm like, this is a very complicated subject. I'm like, fuck. But okay, it's good though. It's really good.
So if you want, I can be your accountability buddy to try to get because my goal is to get 1 video done per week.
Yeah.
So starting this week, so if you're working on the end of a project, I'm working on the end of a project, we can kind of have a race if you're down for it.
Yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be fun.
Okay, let's do it.
Although I am quality over everything, so I will not race it, but I will.
Fair enough.
We'll definitely do it. I'll stay checked in with you. Show you what I have. So
cool.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And then Gunther was asking. I think he asked a couple comments ago if he should get into editing. I think he was serious about that. Dude, I'm convinced. Like we are living in the best time ever to make side income. And Gunther, you're spot on. Like there's so much of a need right now for engineer type of thinking in the tech world. This editing stuff, there's so many things. Like you could learn. What I'm learning is you could go down to the roots of, let's say, Adobe Premiere, which is like literally, okay, I want to put this text on the screen almost like letter by letter and learn how to like create this mechanism to make it appear on screen. I'm just giving a rough example. That took me like, I don't know, 20 minutes to make. It probably takes somebody really good 3 minutes to make. But there's a whole lot of already pre-made mechanisms like that on other websites, whether it be like Canva or specifically Envato, that already have those mechanisms built in, and you just have to change the text. Yep. But here's the point I'm trying to make, is that they're almost templates that people like me have no idea about. And I don't really want to know about them. I'd rather pay somebody to do that, but I don't want to pay them $20,000 to do that. Like that's the old, in my opinion, that's the old way of doing it. If I could find a middleman between me and the templates, like, dude, I think there's so much value for that. So in other words, for Gunther, for you, for example, like there's a whole bunch of people who want to make videos on YouTube, TikTok, or whatever the hell it is, who want editing, but they don't have 20 grand, but they want to they don't want to learn it. So it's kind of like the gold rush now, but the people who made the most money during the gold rush were the people who sold the shovels. So what I'm saying is maybe you want to sell the shovel, like just be the middleman between the creator of YouTube and the actual end game of YouTube, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. Dude, I mean, that's saying just I have to give that its due. The most people who made the most money during the gold rush sold the shovels. It's like, that's such a great way to look at it. It's so true. It's so true.
It's wild.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and
that's so
shovels
funny.
and jeans.
Really?
That's where Levi Strauss started. Yeah.
I mean, if you just pause on that for a second, it is very funny because you've talked a lot about before about like the, I think we've covered it of the, what is the word the glamour of things. You know, like everyone's off on this thing. I'm going to become a crypto. I don't, you know, I'm going to like financial shit.
Yep.
But I'm a crypto millionaire.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. Yeah.
I'm gonna get into. I'm gonna buy these 3 coins that launch me into like a metaverse billionaire and all this shit. And maybe it'll happen. I don't know. I don't fucking know anything about it. But it seems to be, you know, like you were saying, there's this glamour. Maybe you could just sell server space to people who are off being like, I'm gonna become a, you know, blah blah blah. You know,
well,
again,
dude, look at the trading platforms.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's not me commenting on finance, but like just saying a lot of this kind of stuff where you have like these new things that are marketed and it's like marketed by some pretty big, you know, potential institutions, et cetera. It's like, do you understand that they're heavily incentivized to market that so that because they make a piece of every single trade that happens?
Yeah.
It's kind of like realtors saying like, hey, you should definitely sell your house and buy a new house.
Yeah,
like that's what you should definitely do.
Yeah, you should always refi. Yeah, I've never met a realtor. I've looked at houses with a realtor. I never had a realtor show up and be like, man, I don't like this place. Or all like, this place is nice. And I'm like, yeah, you said that about the last 5 places. I think you told me to get this.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, man, that's definitely something to think about. You know, that saying is great, man. It's so funny. But
it's the truth.
Yeah, man. But that's I do agree, man. I think there are like, you know, and I think there's like a lot of statistics right now in like the labor force of people leaving jobs and all this other stuff that reflect the ability, like people's ability to make income in a kind of flexible way. Dude, it's unprecedented right now. It's absolutely unprecedented. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I like my gut tells me that this is the best time to be an intrapreneur, which is like the sexy way of saying like act like an entrepreneur inside of a corporation, because you basically have unlimited resources, right? Like, it's like where like the last firm that I worked for in New York, it didn't matter. Like if I said, hey, I want to go get my master's degree, they would have said, absolutely. If I want to go get the certification, absolutely. If I want to try this project, absolutely. Like literally money was not a thing. When you're out on your own, money is for sure a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Spending that $5,000 of my own money, like doesn't feel great, right? But it's a necessary evil. But if I was inside of a company, they would say like, hell yeah, right? Inside of the right company.
Sure.
So being an entrepreneur and then having an entrepreneur like type of gig on the side, because entrepreneurship is not like it was 30 years ago. Like, dude, your dad, I don't know if, you know, he told you about our conversation, but he told me like the entire story when I spent time with him around your wedding. That was a different thing back then. Yeah. Where like he had to like basically knock on doors, like go and like deal with some pretty rough dudes, like to say, hey, can I have your business sort of thing. Now it's you put up a fucking profile on Fiverr, or you put up a profile on whatever, you make a course on YouTube like that. This is not like entrepreneurship back in the day, you know. It's so being an entrepreneur and then having a side gig of entrepreneurship. And referring to the side gig, like just think about it like this: if you make $50,000 a year, and let's say you get taxed on that, so you make 20, you know, you make 40,000, right? Something like that. Sure. You make 40,000 for the year. Well, if you then go and make another 20K on a side hustle, that's a 50% bonus. Most people get like a 4% bonus, maximum 10% bonus. It's a 50% bonus that then the next year you will most likely be able to increase because you increased your skills, where you'll most likely be able to increase from 50,000 to 60,000 or 70,000. Yeah. Right. Which is another 50% almost increase from your 50% increase of the 50,000. Right. Yep. So that's crazy. And then before long, you're making more money. It's fucking wild. Like it's so fucking wild right now. And
it's funny too. Like you were like, I don't know if this is what you meant to say, but it's like you pick up the skill, the side skill, and then chances are the company you're at is going to be like, does anyone know how to do this? And you're like, it just so happens I do. And now it's like, you can negotiate your regular salary more while still, you know, it's like, yeah, it's pretty unbelievable, man. I mean, there's so many. I was talking to my one friend today, and he went and visited his friend he lives up in like Vermont, and he's a professional writer, and he just writes for like financial companies, and he just gets paid to write like, you know, these people want to like, you know, hey, put this thing out about me, and they're like, what happened? And you're like, here's the gist of it, and this guy gets paid pretty handsomely to sit there and crank these things out, and like there's just a world, like you were saying, the video editing, copy editing, writing, all this kind of stuff people like kind of want to do. It's like, you know, again, it's not as like sexy as writing a novel, but it's like, dude, you can get paid to like do some stuff like video, all that stuff, you know, that comes up. You can make a couple extra bucks. And at first, I will say, because I've done it myself, it can be a little disheartening at first because the pay when you enter, you have no portfolio, is pretty low. Like people are gonna be, you're competing with dudes from around the world, and it can be kind of tough. But once you get like once you just use those gigs, don't even worry about the money, use them to like build a portfolio and learn how to do it. Once you have a portfolio, then you can start kind of, you know, asking for a couple more bucks. But like what happens to people is you hear this, oh, that sounds cool. You go on Fiverr.com or Upwork or any of these places, and you're like, I might pay like $25. This is bullshit. But it's like, dude, you keep hammering out and stick with it, and then eventually you get pro level at that thing, and then it's when you're like, yay, like, you know, because people who have money typically need pro level stuff, but you kind of got to work your way up there, you know, kiss a couple toads. I kissed a lot of toads writing stuff online. It fucking stunk. But it was like, you know, I was able to learn how to do it and get real-time actual feedback within that specific market rather than sitting and being like, yeah, I think this is pretty great. This will probably be the next American class. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But it helps sharpen your skills getting that, like, you know, real-time feedback with smaller projects. So, yeah, man, dude, I totally agree. I mean, dude, Lyft and Uber, too. It's like,
yeah, well, and,
you know.
Absolutely.
TaskRabbit, there's a million things you can do, man.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
I mean,
you know.
Yeah. And sorry, I think my phone got out of sync. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that's what.
No, it's
Are
all
you
right.
hearing me in real time now?
I hear you now. It'll cut out. It'll go low every now and again.
Okay. Yeah, man. Like, if you really want to ninja, you know, do a ninja move on this, if you can get your like business gig to be aligned with your side gig, that's like, I've seen people do that. Like, so for just as a first example, it comes to my head. I knew a videographer who worked for the stock brokerage that I worked for. So he had unlimited resources with camera equipment, lighting studio, like all of this stuff. And then he did side gigs, right? Like with that equipment. Now, obviously, depending on your ethics and depending if the company agrees with like all that stuff, but let's assume all that aligns. Man, I mean, it was crazy, right? Like, because I work with a videographer right now, and I work with, like, he spent $250,000 on his equipment. Right, $250,000 versus the guy I worked with in stock brokerage, he spent zero. So all of his side gig income was 100% net before taxes, right? Like there was no expenses.
A lot of like electricians and plumbers do that too. You work for a person, you know, you make your whatever hourly wage, and then you do side work, and typically you get to use leftover material and tools and shit for free. So it's like, yeah, you can do this on any, and it's just most people don't think to do it. And what I've seen, you know, this is just doing like the trade work. When you go to your boss and you're telling them, hey, I got a little side job, they typically kind of like that. Unless they're like, hey, like, you know, I need you to make money off you. But if, you know, a lot of times I've seen them kind of admire that and like really support you. Like, here, take this, go here. I got a bunch of extra shit I'm not even thinking about. Go take that. And like, yeah, man, it's like, you really can guppy around because if you're working under some like big fish, like you'd be surprised. There's people who have so much money that are like, they just like, oh yeah, I fucking forgot I have this thing I haven't even used. Go ahead and use it, take it for free. And it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, and you said Uber, man. I mean, that as long as you drive, right, and you have a car that is acceptable. I remember, like Uber would not let me drive because my car was however old. It was ridiculous. That was a pretty sad day for me.
Email hurts, bro. That's a hurtful email. That's a hurtful email.
It is a hurtful email. But yeah, I mean, if you can make a couple $100 extra bucks or $100 or $200 each week on Uber, and like that's crazy. That is so wild. That you can do that, and you can listen to a podcast, and you know, in the meantime, you can read. I mean, it's crazy. You could be advancing your skills while Uber driving and making money for advancing your skills.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, I swear, I'm starting to believe this more and more. It's something I can say confidently. It's like the real barriers, for the most part, I'll say. I'm sure there's always examples, but let's say for the most part, are just personal kind of mindset stuff, man. It's so like, fuck, I don't feel like doing that. That's bullshit. And it's like, okay, go ahead. But it's like, dude, that making a couple extra $100 a week is a big deal. It's a humongous deal.
Absolutely. And dude, if you take that money and then you actually do something smart with it, invest it back in yourself or your business, or invest in like in sound investments, that, like, just as a rough rule of thumb, money will double every 7 years if you have a 10% investment return. It doubles every 10 years if you have a 7%. Roughly, it's 7.2, but just for round numbers.
Right.
So that's the crazy thing about it. So if you put scrounge up Uber money and invest $10,000 a year, and then do that every year, right? Just if you never invested again, $10,000 7 years from now at a 10% rate would be $20,000. Then 7 years from there, it'd be $40,000. 7 years from there, right, it'd be $80,000. 160. It's crazy, and that's not even counting if you then invested each year.
Yes.
Right. So you kept on putting. It's insane the numbers that can happen.
It's
or
nuts,
if you just reinvest it back in yourself, it's nuts, man.
It is, and really the way I try to contextualize all this stuff is like, when I would do these kind of things, the whole time I was just, my kind of North Star was like buying my own freedom from like the drudgery of a job that I fucking hated. So like I still, every time I think about like sitting in an office, I go, fucking hated that so much. And it's like, and maybe you like that, I don't know. But for me, it's like finding out like what works for you. And if like, there's some people who like, you come in, you got a cushy job, you show up, some people love that, and that's great. Like I genuinely believe that. But like if you're kind of in a spot, like I would imagine most people in here are trying to like do something other than what they're currently doing or do it better. It's like, dude, that ability to buy your own freedom in the world and move about without, all these extra bosses and stuff, and like just working for shit you don't really care about. Oh my God, you can't put a price tag on it. I guarantee you just can't put a price tag on it. Like you really can't.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so it's a big deal. So that's like, when people, a lot of the times, what I guess I was trying to say earlier is a lot of times the things that's preventing people to do that is because they lack motivation, which also could be a thing of like having a low self-concept. Like, I can't do that. It's like, no, you fucking can. It's, trust me, it's pretty easy. Like if you just show up every day and save your money and don't spend it on bullshit, and then not just that, but have a thing you're like, this is actually what I want to do. So like it gives you some like thing to look at rather than being like, oh cool, I have an extra $200. Whatever. It's like, no, you need the whole kit and caboodle, man. You need the plan, you need the vision, and then you get the discipline, and then it actually makes it happen. It's like, bro, it's pretty sick. And in the meantime, you're just kind of energized day to day. You're like, you're not just like, I've said this 1,000 times, I guess I'm here. You're sitting there like, tapping your fingers being like, yes, it's all coming to plan. So it's a nice feeling.
Oh yeah. No, dude, I completely agree with you. I personally believe autonomy is wealth. Like that's my definition of wealth, particularly autonomy and perpetuity is wealth, right? Like I don't want anybody fucking telling me, dude, when somebody tells me what to do, even if it's getting, like I've said on this podcast before, even if somebody tells me to get them a glass of water, I want to get the water and then throw the glass against the wall. That's how angry I get when I feel like somebody's telling me what to do, as opposed to like politely asking me. But like for me, building my wealth is about autonomy, 100%. Yeah. And I don't sound this to sound like a stupid infomercial jerk. Like, I do feel like I got that probably 5 years ago-ish. No, probably like 4 years ago. And I could and that's not to sound like an egotistical asshole. I'm telling you that if you define your wealth like that, Matt, kind of like you're saying, like I think that you got wealth a long time ago as well. If you get, it's way more attainable than it's some number off 55 years from now. I can tell you the number doesn't matter. I can tell you from personal experience of working with people who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars that some of them are not wealthy by my definition, right? Because their companies are running them. They have staff. Like this one guy told me, he's like, dude, I'm going to sell all this fucking thing. He's like, because I have a staff at his house. Company. His house staff is 30 people. He's like, I see people every single day that I employ to be at my house. I don't know them. How can I trust them? But it's been this way for years. They're probably stealing shit off of me. He's like, I have no idea, right? Is that wealthy, right? Like, is that wealth? I mean, I don't think that that's wealth. Wealth, in my opinion, is not a certain amount of things. Of course, it can buy things, but I think wealth is do you have your time and your freedom? Yeah, and if you don't, then I think there's a serious argument to say, well, like the number doesn't matter, right? It's the numbers play a role in do you have the resource of autonomy?
Yeah, man, exactly. And like, dude, just I personally can't think of a more meaningful way to kind of live your life than trying to achieve that. And, maybe open your, if you have children, like show them how to do that as well. And it's like, and here's the cool thing too is, dude, it's like when it's funny you say that, I got a very early taste of autonomy, like you were saying, like wealth. But I was doing some like wild shit. So it was like, it was always highly threatened, and I would have it, I would lose it, I would have it again, it would be ripped out of my hands. So I would just right back to the workplace, right back out, and I was in and out. And I totally agree with you, man. It's like, there was parts where I in my head at the time, I'm like, dude, I have more money than anyone in the world that I know about. It was all under my bed, but it was like, whatever. I was like, I'm so fucking rich. I'm so rich. I have thousands of dollars, and like, dude, but there was times where I wasn't autonomous. I had to answer to people. I had this, that, and all these other things going on. Miserable, dude. And there was times where I had literally $6 to my name, but I still could kind of move and groove the way that I like to do. I was genuinely happier like that. Mm-hmm. Now, again, life's easier when you have money. That's obvious. But it's, again, like, granted, it's not some thing that kind of controls you. But dude, it's like, that was a big wake up call for me. It's like, yeah, like, it's not like, oh, money doesn't matter. It matters, dude. It genuinely does as a practical value for your life. But like, dude, you need to have a reason why you're getting it. Otherwise, you're just serving it or serving someone else, and you're just getting led along with carrots. And it's like, dude, again, that was like one of the biggest lessons I got to learn early on, which I'm pretty grateful for. Of just being, like, all that matters is I'm in charge of my day to day. And again, I got to answer to people here and there. Obviously, I have a wife, I have kids, but it's like, it's having to do that and another one, and maybe it's like, I'm incapable, bro. I'm the same way. I would smash. Like, you ever see those videos on YouTube where a guy just gets up and takes a bat to his desk? It's like, that would happen. That would happen.
Yeah, exactly, man. No, I think to add some distinctions here as we talk through it, it's autonomy, goals in mind, right? Like I would never want to be a hermit. It's like, oh yeah, well, I don't need any money, but it's like, yeah, but then you're not growing as a person, right? So like, when we say this, I think we're both on the same page of like, autonomy by your definition, like autonomy is not having anybody tell you what to do, but also doing what you want to do.
Yes.
So if I want to go to jiu-jitsu and pay $250 a month to do that, or go to the gym that I go to and pay $250 a month to do that, that's $500, but I want to do that. Yeah. So I think that's the distinction, right? Like, autonomy is doing what you want, when you want, whenever you want, not having anybody else get in your way of that, right? And then also, I think the distinction that I'm hearing, Matt, and you're helping me with this, is like, autonomy now is rich. Autonomy in perpetuity is wealth. Yeah. Right? Like, it seems from what you were saying, like you were rich for a year or whatever that temporary
for
time
a 24-year-old, I was rich. I was way rich, and very much.
Yeah, but having autonomy, so that's rich, but it's not wealthy. What did Chris Rock say one day? He's like, Shaq is rich. The guy who signs his check is wealthy.
It's a good Rock impression too.
Hey, like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So then true wealth is autonomy and perpetuity. Perpetuity, for those who don't know, is just a finance term for forever, right? Like you get a certain amount of capital, right, or a certain amount of business, whatever it is, and then you have that reason, like, outside of Armageddon, like forever.
Yep, absolutely. And the cool thing too is, like, I genuinely believe this. We'll see if this ever has to get tested. I'm interested to see, but I really, from going through that little back and forth so many times, I used to fret, like, oh my God, if all this stuff comes crashing down, I'll be back into, I'll just be some dude working wherever. Just like, man, fuck. But it's like, dude, I'm like, I don't worry about that. It's because I know in my head, I'm like, man, I'll get back out of it again eventually, like, whatever. So it's like, eventually you kind of get confident in being like, yeah, I'm loving what I'm doing now. I'm going to work to make sure it stays the same. I'm not worried about losing it either, because it's like, that would just be like, all right, I get to go again. It's like, I kind of perversely have enjoyed that process of like, boots on, landing my boot, my parachute getting cut and being like, fuck, I'm back on the ground, let's go. And it's like, so it's like, yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, well, that's why I think people need to really have the conversations around financial assets. That's what they mostly consider to be wealth, financial assets, which that's my entire career, which are phenomenal. But that's not the biggest asset. The biggest assets are skill assets, hands down. Like, there is no doubt about it. This is why you see, it's the classic example of, I think it's something crazy, like 75 to 80% of people who win the lottery go broke within like 5 years after. Something ridiculously stupid low, right?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Versus if you watch a business titan go bankrupt like he or she will quickly be a multimillionaire in the next 5 years. So in that same 5 years that the lottery winner lost all their money, that same 5 years, the business person will go from zero or maybe probably even negative to worth $10 million. Right? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's because it's a skill set thing. Skills are the biggest asset, hands down. This is why it drives me crazy when people, because I have this conversation all the time, when they say, hey, I'm a really good engineer, but I want to go and start flipping houses, right? Because I listened to this radio program that told me, and then all of a sudden they're taking their time away from their real craft and they're dabbling now in both because they're trying to make a financial asset more priority than a skill-based asset. And it's a very bad mistake.
Yeah, man. No, I agree. I suffer from that as well. And it helps to kind of keep myself focused on keep myself right here. And it's funny, speaking of that too, I'm curious to see what you think about this. So right now I have, let me see what time is she? I have 3, and I'm always I always have these projects, and they fucking multiply and grow, and I'm always trying to wrangle it all. But right now I've identified I have Psych as a project. Yep. Obviously stuff for the podcast that comes kind of easily, but it's really my projects are Psych, this book club, and I'm eventually going to start writing a novel as well. And I'm thinking of, and I'm going to experiment with this, of organizing my week, where I get to do one thing one day, one thing Tuesday, one thing Wednesday, and then just going like that. So I'm always kind of cycling between projects, but also getting them all done, because I'll put all my eggs in one basket of projects, and then I'll be like, oh, I have all these other things to do, and I get distracted. So I'm going to start disciplining myself to do, and I'm going to try. I'll see how it works, but I know I have 4 main projects, and I really want to do the book club for the Patreon, and I have been working on it. It's just I got to put more stuff out. So I'm going to try to do one day, and just have a rotating 3-day kind of schedule that, just rotates. So I'll see. No,
I love it. I love weekly cycles. I'm convinced that daily and weekly cycles are the only thing that exists for human progress. At least that I have noticed with my own life and with a bunch of other clients, and I like all that stuff. Once you get into I'm going to do this every other week, it's good luck. Or I'm going to do this once a month, good luck. I'm sure, obviously there's exceptions, but I have noticed that I make the most progress on daily and weekly cycles. Anything outside of that, I try my best not to commit to. It's just too difficult because there's not the pattern recognition, right? It's oh, did I do this last Monday? Because it's just weird versus okay, did I do that this week? And then even when I get projects thrown at me, or for instance, last night, we went to dance class, and it's okay, should I get back in the dance? Okay, do I have time in the week to do that? Not can I do it once or twice a month? Because then there's not only the weirdness of calculations of my brain's just not that good to know that I do it 2 times this month, but then also for the skill acquisition, you need a certain amount of density and frequency of practice. Yeah. Right. Or a repetition of anything. So I like your weekly cycle.
Yeah, because what I was trying to do is do 3 things in every day, and I need to get real in that book Deep Work by I think Newport is the name. I like to have 4 hours where I can just fucking hammer into something rather than oh, that was an hour, and it's I feel like I don't really get into it, so I'm gonna try to do a whole day of this, a whole day of that, whole day of that, and done. So
no, absolutely. And dude, there's I'll have to let you in on this YouTube course. Because I think we could both learn a ton from it, but maybe you and Shane could get a ton from it as well. And I fucking paid $5,000 for it, so I hope we can spread the value.
Well, thank you, man.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, dude,
cool.
What so what do you got going on? This is we're pretty much at 12 o'clock again. That was my bad. I was just working out.
No, it's my fault.
Time.
My fault. Dude.
So I don't know what's going on with Dude of the Week. Monday was a bit of, I just sat here and rambled for a fucking hour on Monday. I was I'm not going to sit here and just talk. And it was blah, 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 blah. Oh, Ray blames both of us. I thought someone had a serious question. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, well, my comments are no longer coming up. So if you guys can submit any wins that you had the week, and we'll do a quick Dude of the Week. And then Gunther, I did see a comment from you saying that you had some extra floorboards or something to make charcuterie boards. Dude, I think that's an awesome fucking idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I really like that idea.
That is pretty great, actually.
And I actually, dude, I would even be interested. If you're serious about it, let me know. And yeah, I would like to buy a charcuterie board. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I think it looks cool. Maybe I would like to buy one for my mom.
Damn, you could call it eating off the floor.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna put in.
You ever see Step Brothers?
Yes.
Business plan, venture capital. When they're doing that presentation.
That movie's hilarious. I'm gonna right now. I'm throwing up Saad. Throw up Joseph.
Just did the 860 so far and got a nice commission check. Oh, nice, dude.
Where's that?
Saad was saying.
Ooh.
Saad was saying he did an 860. I don't know what that means, but something, and he got a commission check from it.
Nice, man.
And then Gibbons, yeah, shoot me, send me a message on you said it want a small geometric piece for your office. Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but let's if you can send me a message on Discord, so I can see what that means, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. Also, I was curious, Gibbons, if you ever took Ray up on his suggestion for throwing some color in there. You know, I'd be curious to see. You know, Ray was saying take some risks in that angle and just see what that looks like if you'd experimented with that. Also, Ray probably appreciated. I threw up my picture for this week or for today was Escher. He probably recognized it. He's a famous artist. He does a lot of geometric stuff as well.
Yeah, isn't Escher like the stairs, like the feeding stairs or something like that?
Yep. Apparently, a mathematician invented it traditionally, but Escher had been doing stuff like that years before. I mean, Ray, if you have any questions about art, just let me know. I could probably answer them for you. But right now we have Kaizen as well.
Oh, somebody said we'll make a Rhomas sign. Hell yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be fucking awesome, Ryan. Thank you, bud.
All right.
What
Here we go. Poll is up.
What did Kaizen say? He got some sort of facial recognition stuff. Let's see here.
Work on webcam and now 7 missions this week in VA. Fucking sick.
I do spreadsheets. Kaizen does missions. That's so fucking awesome.
Fucking dude, that rules. So we got Joseph, we got Gonth, we got Saad, we got Kaizen. Here comes the vote. We got 9 people. We got 2 votes. Let's go.
Where is it?
Yeah, I got a Roma sign too. Truly hooked me up.
Damn.
Pretty cool.
Where is this?
Here we go. Gonth pulling ahead. Gonth taking off. Gonth taking off. Kaizen pulling up a little bit. Oh my god, it's a tie. Oh
yeah, I would love to see Gunther make those charcuterie boards, man. I think it's a great fucking idea. And where do you sell them on, like Etsy or something like that? It's got to be. Etsy's a cool marketplace, man. I just bought something off of Etsy.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kaizen takes it away, dude.
Congrats, Beast. I just view Kaizen on those drones. I know this is so silly, but you ever play that Sonic the Hedgehog game? And at the end of like one of the levels, there's that dude floating around in like the drone thing, and you got it, you know?
Dr. Robotnik?
Yes. Yeah. Fucking Beast. Cool.
It's hilarious.
Awesome.
All right, man. Monday I will be in Houston, so I'm going to try to do it in my hotel room. I got to see what time I'm flying out.
Cool, yeah, let me know. If not, I'm game.
All right.
All right, brother.
Later on.